Last night I was at the pickleball courts playing pickleball, and I had been practicing some new strategies, and I was sharing them with one of my fellow pickleball players. And he said, "You should write a book about how this plays out in life, in relationships, and how the parallels exist." And I thought, interesting. Maybe, maybe not. I went home, I started thinking some more about this, and I'm an author. I've written another book, and I thought, what a cool book to write. Did a little bit of research on other books that are like this, and I couldn't find anything. Pickleball being all the craze, I would have thought there was other books like this. So then I decided I am going to accelerate this process. I am going to see how fast I can write a book and get it published on Amazon from start to finish. And I'm going to document that on my YouTube Shorts and see if I can push myself to do it in less than 30 days. Day one of my 30-day challenge of writing a book in 30 days or less. First thing I did, brainstorm, dump everything I could think of about my topic, about my title, really went through that exercise. I used Google, I used ChatGPT, I used Amazon to do research on similar books in similar different sports, but similar topics. And what I came up with was a list of all sorts of chapters that I would include or pages that I would include in my book. And then this as well. Then I went through and I ordered 3 books off Amazon that I believe I want to understand how they're written and how they're laid out and their success. Then I also went through and hired 3 illustrators to test drive them with 1 page of my book. I gave them 1 page, what the concepts were. They have to do that. So that's on my radar, and I think that's going to be the most critical piece of the timeline. And the last thing I did was come up with a working title, Dinking Through Life, Lessons from the Pickleball Court. Day 2 of my author challenge has not been without challenges. I spent most of my efforts working on the illustrator side. I realize that that is going to be the most difficult part, to get 60 illustrations in about 2.5 weeks if I'm going to get this book done in 30 days. So I posted on Etsy, I posted on Upworks, on Fiverr, on Facebook groups. I looked through LinkedIn. I've looked just about everywhere trying to find an illustrator. I'm narrowing it down. I've got some really, really strong candidates. I had to eliminate some based on price. The price was just way too much. I wasn't willing to spend that much. So I'm now narrowing it down on illustrators. The other thing I got stuck on was the size of the book. I thought I could do a hardcover 6x6 or 8x8. Amazon doesn't accommodate that, so I had to go with a soft cover 8.25 square and then adjust my margins, etc. Day 3 of the author challenge. Yesterday I talked to a ton of illustrators. I got some feedback. I looked at their portfolios, I looked at their cost structures, I looked at contracts. I spent all of my time focused on the book, looking at the illustration process, seeing if anyone could meet my deadline, which I basically figured was about 3 illustrations a day for 20 solid days, because I need some time on the back end to make sure it's formatted correctly. I did find somebody, and I'm very excited. I was able to get a first draft of one of my pages done, and although there's some tweaking to do, it is really, really solid. And I think it's gonna be awesome. Believe she can commit to the 3 per day for the next 20 days, and that will get us to the 30-day challenge. So we'll see. I'm optimistic. Day 4 of the author challenge. Yesterday was all about editors. I wanted to get 4 editors that were committed to helping me over the next 20 days and had the bandwidth to do so, to technically edit the illustrations and make sure that they were accurately depicting the pickleball and the message I was trying to send. So that was really, really important for me. I also got additional drafts of my illustration. I'm spending a lot of time on the first illustration, making sure that the faces are what I want them to be, that the way they're depicted are what I want, so that when we go forward, there's no changes and no rework. So I'm working a lot on that and making sure I'm giving them a lot of feedback. And then the last thing I'm working on is I'm trying to fill out my grid, and that's going a little slower than I want. But I was out looking at images online to help demonstrate the illustrations I want. And last but not least, I got to focus on project management. Day 5 of the author challenge. Today was all about prep, project planning and prep. I have my illustrator, she's amazing. I have my editors, they're prepped and ready to go. I have a document that's set up for us to manage all 60 illustrations and how everybody's going to be providing their feedback, what the revision schedule is, what the timing is, laid it all out to see if we can make a 30 days. It seems like it's going to be doable, particularly because my illustrator is committing to 10 illustrations a day for the next 6 days, and that will put us on task to do the revisions. She'll go back and add color and line and text at the end, but everything else will be done and ready so we can actually do a prototype book. My job yesterday was to do 18 texts of describing what the pictures are so she can get started today. All that's done and we're ready to go. Day 6 of the author challenge. I was able to complete 7 more text descriptions of my illustrations for my illustrator. That makes for a total of 25. I also did some research and reading. I went out to the pickleball courts, took a bunch of pictures of different stances, different positions, different clothing, different people, just giving her some sense of the pickleball community and helping her with the illustration process. I also did some reading, read the books that I had ordered to continue to get my head wrapped around what I want to write. And then I also talked to a high-level pickleball player who's a coach who's interested in providing some help, so I'm thrilled there. And last but not least, I got my first 10 illustrations back, and they're amazing. I'm very excited. Now they go into the editing process. Day 7 of the author challenge. It's all about getting the illustrations complete at this point. I've received 11 illustrations. I've reviewed 11. I got another 10 last night, so I will have another 10 to review today. I have staying on top of the text descriptions that I have to give back. So I have done another 8 of those yesterday. So they're all kind of in that process of giving her enough to work on and make sure that I'm ahead of her 10 a day effort. The other major thing I got done yesterday was I got the book formatting set up. What I mean by that is I got the forward, I got the introduction, I've got the author bio, I've got everything kind of set up, I've got the illustrations, and I was able to hand that off to a formatting team who's taking all of those pieces and putting it in a format that will allow me to test and do a draft book with KDP as early as tomorrow. Day 8 of the author challenge. I've received 31 of the approximately 60 illustrations. I have revised and provided comments on 21 of those. My editors are working on them as well. I spent most of day 8 working on getting a draft copy of my book printed. I know that sounds premature because I'm only in day 8. How could I possibly print a draft version? But it's really important because the KDP process may take some revisions. You put your formatted cover and manuscript into the KDP process, and then it tells you what kind of errors you have that you have to correct before they'll let you print. So I did do that. I worked with my formatting team. We got some errors back, and they are working on the errors, so I expect to submit it again today for print. Day 9 of the author challenge is complete. We now have 41 illustrations done. Unbelievable. We have also a cover done. So the first draft of the cover, there's some work to do, but it's a nice start. Yesterday I spent most of my time kind of really thinking about the format of the book and how I wanted it to come together. I still have some work to do in that area, but I'm starting to see how it works. I also spent a lot of time trying to make sure the formatting works and see if we could get a printed copy of the book through Amazon. So I put it again into the Amazon KDP publisher. After attempt 2 and 3, I was able to order the book. I ordered the book in 2 formats, one in a standard color and one is a premium color. One has a spine, one doesn't have a spine. So I want to see the differences and touch and feel to make a decision. Day 10 of the author challenge was all about review and revisions. I have 51 illustrations that are done. I want to spend a lot of time making sure that every last one of them has the revisions noted that I want. I have a checklist of things that I want every illustration to check against, whether there's a ball in the picture, where the court lines are, where the people are standing. Every single piece of the picture, I have a list of what I want to check for. Because we want one revision. We don't want to have to go back and forth and back and forth. The next step after we finish the cover and the remaining 4 illustrations is to start line and color. So I want to make sure the revision stuff is ready. I can't say it enough. I don't want a lot of rework. I don't want to put pressure on my illustrator. I want to make sure that's right. And last but not least, I talked to a publicist to see what my options are to get this book out into the world. I am self-published. Day 11 of the author challenge was a lot about organizing the book and getting it set up and understanding the flow. It's a coffee table book or a gifting book, so it's intended to just be paged through. So I want to make sure it has a nice flow to it and the illustrations and the content is well laid out. So that's been a focus. I'm also focusing on how I'm going to get the word out about the book. I contacted my website person to put some information on my website about it. I've also contacted a publicist to talk to them about how to reach the pickleball community at large and see what that looks like. So those are my 2 main things on day 11. I also got a question about KDP Publishing. KDP Publishing is Amazon's version of how to create a manuscript, create a cover, upload it, put the content around it, get it ready for sale, set it up for printing and fulfillment through their Amazon system. Day 12 of the author challenge, I thought I'd do something different and show you a behind the scenes look at some of the work that's getting done. What you see here is my working cover of my book. That's me up there. That's my illustrator right there. And we're just working through the details on this. This is my master spreadsheet, which contains all the illustrations. What you see in red and green on the side here is that when I'm done with the text, it's green, so my illustrator knows, and when it's red, I'm still working on it. This is a sample illustration with some words on the page. This is an illustration with line and color once that's done. I've also created a storyboard. These are all the illustrations behind me, all lined up, trying to kind of categorize them and get them organized. And last but not least, some promo material. You see there, I am holding the paddle and a book, just so I can promote the product. Day 13 of the author challenge. I am optimistic. Things seem to be going well. We're making progress. All of the illustrations have been done. We're now looking at revisions and editing the revisions, hopefully very minor edits on the revisions. Most of my time has been spent on day 13 in text writing, generating text, getting the text right. Every page has one illustration of what's going on in the pickleball court, and then I want to make that relationship to what's going on in life. So every page has kind of 2 pieces of text, approximately 50 words each. I'm not trying to make it heavy on the text, but I do want to send a message for each picture. So I got through 30 of those illustrations yesterday, which basically means 60 pages. So about half the book. Lots more today. Day 14 of the author challenge. There's a reason they call it a challenge. Yesterday, I had received in the mail copies of my book, 2 different versions of it. One was thick, one was thin. One had premium color, one had standard color. I was very disappointed. I did not like what I got. It was too big, it was too floppy, it wasn't what I had envisioned. So I basically went to my bookshelf and started looking for, what do I really want? Why do I what do I want to produce, and this is what I ended up with. It's a 5.5 by 8.5 book. It is hardcover, so it's a nice hardcover book. That's my cover, and then when you open it up, you have the illustrations and the text, etc. I did have to work with my illustrator because we went from an 8.25 now to a 5.5, so everything had to be downsized. She's been lovely. We had to also work on how do we fill out the additional size of the book. Day 15 of the Author Challenge was a holiday, and it was scheduled as part of the plan, as part of the very original plan that I built on day 2 or 3. It was a day off. It was a day off of everything. I wanted to make sure that we had that. It's also a buffer day, a day where if I was behind on some things, I could catch up, and that really was the intent of day 15. I'm just over the halfway mark then, so day 15 marks that middle point. I have ordered the hard copy version of the book. I did that yesterday. It's 5.5 by 8.5. I wanted to get a version of that ordered, so I did that. And I did write a little bit of text yesterday, maybe 16 pages, so I did do that as well. But really, my goal was to do research, and so I played a lot of pickleball yesterday in the name of research. Day 16 of the Author Challenge is about a lot of little things, trying to just make sure everything gets into the illustration process and gets into the production process efficiently. So I reviewed revisions to make sure that the pictures are what we want so they can go into line art. I reviewed again the text that I've written, and I'm going to continue to do that, but I was putting it into categories like good sportsmanship, upping your game, building a community, learning the game, things like that, so that we can structure the book correctly. I also did some work on getting another hard copy. I feel like I can't get enough copies of the book in different variations. I wanted to get a hard copy book. I also wanted to try a soft copy book in the same book to see, so I had to build that out based on what I already have in my possession. So I spent some time there, and then I will continue to revise. Day 17 of the Author Challenge. I'm thinking about things in 3 categories. First, production. Second, publication. And third, promotion. So if you think about it as the 3 Ps, when I talk about production, I'm still doing revisions. Most of the heavy lifting right now is with the illustrator doing line art and getting that ready. So she's doing a lot of that. I'm here to just respond to her as needed based on what she's providing back to me. But my job is to just be responsive right now in that respect. Second is publication. I'm thinking about the style of the book. I'm also thinking about additional publication channels like Ingram or Barnes & Noble. So I'm investigating those and spending some time on those. And third is promotion, thinking about whether there's book signings, whether or not I go to different tournaments, and what I do. Day 18 of the Author Challenge. I'm going to go through production, publication, and promotion. On production, most of the time right now is the heavy lifting is with my illustrator. She's just pounding out illustrations, doing the line art. Eventually she'll get to the color. That is the most critical thing right now for her. For me, I'm kind of out of that. She's doing that. I'm focused on text, revising, making sure it carries my voice, making sure it gets the points across that I want to get in the book. So that's where I'm spending most of my time. I did outline page by page, so I have the exact sequence of illustrations and messages that I want to send. So that's done. As far as publication, I'm still working on the formatting of Ingram Micro, and I'm looking at publicizing, so I'm talking to some local outlets, trying to figure out what my options are locally. Day 19 of the Author Challenge. I just continue to do more text writing and more revisions and more revisions. I really want the voice to be the right voice. I want to make sure the messages are good. I'm checking grammar. I'm checking the context, really focused on that. My illustrator is kind of quiet right now. And I mean quiet from the standpoint she's so heads down so busy working on the line drawings and eventually the art that's really what's taking the time right now. Not a lot of feedback, so it's kind of quiet, but it's a busy quiet. I'm also thinking about the timing. I'm thinking that we're on the back end of this. I got to make sure that all the timing comes together. My books that I ordered are taking way longer to get than initially expected. So I'm trying to figure out whether that factors into my overall timeline and how that plays out. Day 20 of the author challenge, both exciting and scary. Day 20 was about completing the line art. 100% of the line art is done. Done. We are not making edits to the line art. That's about 59 illustrations in total. Well, 60 if you count the hardcover and softcover of the book, because I am going to release it in both hardcover and softcover. That's a margin decision because it's cheaper to produce the soft cover, so I make more margin, but the hardcover I like and it's nicer. So I had to make that decision as well. Also went through and did all the numbering of all the pages because I needed to have the exact sequence of the book so that we can release the colors in batches and get it ready for formatting. So everything was done there. I'm also thinking about the publication and their promotion and where I can promote it, what kind of pickleball events are coming up, and starting to do research in that area. Day 21 of the author challenge is a lot about focusing on getting things from production into publication. The production is really getting the color added right now, and as those are done with color and text and page numbers and the full formatting, then I move them into publication and start to slot them into the book and get that process underway. If you remember correctly, a few weeks back, not even a few weeks back, days back, I had produced a couple of copies of this, some in color, some in not, and didn't love that. So then I went and I just got these, which are soft covers. I like the soft cover. This one's black and white, which I'm not obviously going to produce, but this one's color. The formatting's off. So what I really am looking forward to is the hardcover, which is what I'm looking forward. The cover's off, but this is what it's going to look like. And then inside, these are the sneak peek of the pages. Lots of good stuff. Day 22 of the author challenge. 26 of the line art are fully colored. Everything's done on the coloring side. They aren't formatted into a page. They do not have text on them yet. They do not have the page numbering or formatting, but the art is done, which is the heavy lifting. My editor has completed the text review, so of the text that I wrote. All that's been reviewed and edited, so that's 100% ready to go. I also received another copy of my book. Yep, this one. I'm checking the back of the book because I want to make sure the formatting is right. I think some of the things are too big on it. I'm going to rearrange that a little bit. So this was really a checking of the back. I just can't get enough copies of the book to keep checking. And I did talk with my formatting team about the timing, and they're set to go. They're also working on Ingram and Barnes & Noble to get it produced in those formats. Day 23 of the author challenge, and I'm starting to panic. My illustrator has given me 26 illustrations, and I wasn't supposed to have revisions, but I do on a bunch of them, more than half of them. It's really not big revisions, but I do have revisions, and they're not her fault, but she's got some work to do, and it's put her behind a little bit to get through the other half of the revisions. So what do I do when I panic? I plan. So I put the plan together that says this is the 7 days to get to the publish date. The next 2 days are critical to get the color done and get them into the hands of my formatting team by 4 o'clock on Friday. If I miss that window with any illustrations, I have to do the work on Saturday and Sunday and get them formatted and ready to go. Monday, Tuesday is about the forward, is about the final check with the KDP publishing tool. It's about the bios, it's about the intros, so that we can hit Wednesday, and on Wednesday, we can push the Amazon button. Day 24 of the author challenge, and I am still a little panicked, but I'm feeling better after having planned. So I had a little issue with my formatting team. They didn't format the book correctly, and it kept failing the KDP publishing process. Sounds like I'd already published 6 books. Why is it failing? That's my exact question. It seems that they did not account for the bleed on the pictures, and I had to change the project manager on my formatting team to make sure I had somebody who understood what I was trying to get after. That's been corrected. I don't have a good copy yet, so I'm still a little bit fingers crossed, but I'm waiting for that. My illustrator's done with all the coloring. However, I do have a whole set of revisions that I want her to do, and it's going to cross every page, which is a project, but we're going to try. Day 25 of the author challenge, and the big push was a 4 p.m. deadline of getting 100% illustrations that were revised into the formatting team. We hit that deadline at 1 o'clock, which was great news. A little bit of stress there, but they have it. I had her revise every single page, put a footer on it with a different theme, different color, and I wanted the page numbers in little paddles on the side. So that was done, and she was able to do every one of them. The formatting team has it. I was able to also submit it to KDP Publishing for another draft of it. It will be here Wednesday, the day I hit publish, which is a good day because then I can make any final tweaks if I need to before I hit the publish button. So that I'm hopeful that that day is not missed. Also working on publicity. I got a radio spot. I got a podcast. I got a press release going out on Tuesday. And we're working on the cover page of a coloring book. Day 26 of the author challenge. And I'm kind of in a quiet mode from the standpoint of I'm trusting that the formatters are doing their job. I just have to trust and see what I get back on Monday. I'm about 75% confident that they've got it taken care of, but we'll see. So what I'm focused on is publicity and promotion. I've edited a press release that's going out on Tuesday. I also did some more work on getting a PDF file of my book ready and available to the media because the media wants to read it and see it and have an advanced copy. It's not a final copy, but it is a copy that they can definitely get for media purposes. Also responded to an article or information about Newsweek to see if I can kind of tag on that. And then also started working on the pages for the coloring book version of this. Day 27 of the author challenge, and it's all about review. I have the manuscript in the hands of my editors again, the final manuscript, and I have one editor in particular who's read it cover to cover, and she's awesome. She found 4 revisions, 1 major. The major was a duplicate page. The text on the page was duplicate, and that really needs to be addressed. So the illustrator turned all of those around really quickly. I've sent them on to the formatting team along with a few other minor changes, and my hope is that they're getting them. My hope is that they'll be in the revision that I get on day 28. So that's my hope. The rest of the time has been spent working on identifying the rest of the pages for the coloring book, finalized on the cover for the coloring book. So I'll see if I can share that with you guys, and we're just continuing to move on and hope my revisions are done. Day 28 of the author challenge isn't without a little bit of stress. I'm on my 4th project manager for my formatting team. My current one got sick, so I subbed out, and I have a new guy who, rest assured, everything is going okay, but it doesn't make it any less stressful for me to make sure that I am working with someone who knows what I want and who knows when I want to get the formatted done. I was able to submit it, the version that happened over the last several days, to KDP, and it did pass. There are still a handful of edits that they're doing that I don't have back yet. But it looks like we'll be on schedule. Spent some time on the coloring book because it is going to now be bundled with the other book in a series, which is a KDP option, which is pretty cool. Got a TV spot and 2 radio spots coming up soon. Day 29 of the 30-day author challenge, and we have success. I've officially published the hardcover book today on Amazon. It will be available within 72 hours for purchase. It is ready to go. Everything's set up. I had a room full of people at the Glenview Public Library. I pushed the go button and it was published. Later that afternoon, I was able to upload the manuscript for the soft cover. Same thing, 124 pages. It's $19.99. And last but not least, the second book that I was trying to kind of publish under this window but didn't know if it was going to happen is the adult coloring book. It's called Dinking Through Life in Color, and it is going to be a coloring book available as well. And it is about 80 pages in total and $14.99. I'm thrilled and I'm exhausted. Day 30 of the 30-day challenge, and we have success. I have published in hardcover, softcover, and my coloring book on Amazon. First of all, I have to thank my illustrator. My illustrator was a rock star. She was so amazing. She was so incredible. She was so helpful. I couldn't have done it without her. So Lily, shout out to you. But day 30 was not without some challenges. Amazon had an issue with the transcripts that were put up. There were some margin issues. The coloring book was the wrong dimensions. I had to rechange that. Lily was instrumental in doing that. Got the margins changed, got it resubmitted. So I had to resubmit all of it to Amazon, the softcover, hardcover, and the coloring book. Amazon turned it around in about 10 hours, and it was published. So what do? I'm going to play some pickle. Day 31 of the author challenge. It's over. I mean, the challenge of writing. Now the challenge is of promoting the book, getting it in the hands of people, putting it into the pickleball community. So I spent day 31 really focused on promotion. I will have the opportunity to do some book signings. I'm looking forward to a radio show. I did a podcast show. I'm looking forward to an opportunity to do Fox News TV show to promote the book. But that's not where it ends. I have to keep thinking about ways to put this in front of the community and in front of others so that I can reap the benefits of what I've worked so hard on, both the author challenge and the pickleball book, which I'm very proud of and very excited. I am in Cleveland, and I'm hopeful to meet my illustrator, which I've never met.